I want to clarify something from the last video I posted, the fall of Armenia and America. Actually, I do watch back and hear errors that I made. Like, for example, in that video I mentioned the video of the Armenian, I guess it's parliament being stormed by angry Armenians, saying that I think it was on November 10th or 11th, but it was on November 9th. It even says it on the video in the screen. And that, I mean, that's the day the agreement was signed, and so it's logical that was the day that it happened. In the United States, it was already the 10th, so it would certainly not have been the 11th. Just little errors that I make, and I want to spend a little more time talking about revolution versus reformation. And one other thing I want to clarify is I do think there is rampant corruption in the U.S. government. At one point I made some statement where I didn't follow up, or I said I'm not on that side. And it may have sounded like I don't believe that there is corruption. I do believe there's corruption. I don't believe we're at a point that corruption warrants violent revolt by the citizenry. I want to talk about that a little bit. Well, I want to talk about the American situation at the end of this video, but I want to get back to why I think revolution was or is the right thing for Armenia, or was the right thing for Armenians in the Ottoman Empire. It would have been, absolutely, arming yourselves and fighting against your own government. However, that possibility was already taken away from them. Armenians, it was illegal for them to own firearms in the Ottoman Empire. Most of the young men had already been drafted into the military and had been isolated and were put in labor camps and ultimately executed. I mean, who's the heart of a revolution is the young men. If they were in the country, they were in the military. But the Armenians did stage a valiant defense in the city of Van, by Lake Van. And so that's as close to a revolution as they could have mustered. But when the Ottomans, the Young Turks, Talat and Enver and Jamal arrested the 250, it was more than 250, but the number that on the first night, on April 24th, 1915, the 250 leaders of the Armenians were arrested and deported or put on trains, and most of them were executed. That is how you suppress a revolution before it can even begin. And so, revolution is immoral in constitutional republics, democracies, free societies, where the rule of law is abided by and where there isn't a double standard. And some will say, well, in the United States, there is a double standard, and there certainly is. But we still have a two-party system that's going to be tested in the coming months, the coming year, the coming years. And so in Armenia, right now, revolution is not the answer today. In 1915, it would have been, but it is not today. Pashinyan I think he's doing the right thing. He's saying, let's have elections. Overthrowing, they want him to resign, but that's not the answer either. having elections is. And if there's enough support for an opposition candidate, so be it. And so that is correct. That's what I mean. Revolution is immoral. Revolution is popular or sounds cool, or it's romanticized, but it's never the right option when your system of government is a moral system, which democracies are. Authoritarian dictatorships are not, and should be resisted and revolted against. So that, let me make sure, I'm not saying revolution is always immoral. It's immoral in a certain government system, as it exists in Armenia and as exists in the United States of America. Now, the last thing I want to say, the United States is facing a scenario that's unprecedented. There are calls for impeachment. Articles of impeachment for Donald Trump have been drafted already, yesterday, blaming him for an insurrection, as if this was some coordinated plan. It's really reactionary and abusing our system to even talk like that. I'm not saying Trump was right in everything he said or did, but but on the other hand, let's just say there's like 13 days or 12 days by the time people watch this, 12 days left in the Trump presidency, by all accounts, if everything continues according to the way the system has always worked. But there's a whole bunch of criminal allegations against the incoming president that Trump has access to everything, and people are calling on him to, or maybe he's even suggested to declassify everything. And there are things that he could do, and he's being threatened with impeachment. He's being threatened with prison. He's being threatened with lawsuits. And it's like you back a rabid dog into a corner, right? I mean that's how he's viewed. He's viewed as a rabid dog by so many people. And it's like, are you really, like, what happened yesterday in the U.S. Capitol brought joy to the hearts of America's enemies, right? And what's happening right now with the calls for all Trump supporters to be rounded up, to be cleansed. I mean, this is terminology that's actually out there, cleansed. Like, when we get to that point, that's when revolution would be moral, right? If people are being rounded up and interned and tortured and their freedoms taken away without justification and executed, yeah, that's when you cross the line. And we should not cross the line. And I have said in that last video, I don't believe America's about to fall, but I've been wrong before. I was wrong in a video I posted back in October, or was it early November, right before the election? My predictions. I predicted the Trump would get, he got more votes. He got more votes. This is an interesting note that only the last time a second term or an incumbent president got more votes than their first term. Right? The last time that happened was 150 years ago. Right? So, speaking of the anomalies that happened in this election, Trump got millions, like 12 million more votes or something like that. Or no, like 50, no.